Alright, as soon as I load into the garage, let's get this started. Okay. Okay. Any second now. So one thing about this game is the loading screens. Come on. I believe in you. Come on. If I believe hard enough, it'll load up. I know it will. Oh my goodness. Alright, come on. Seriously, this is getting annoying. Like, the bar is all the way up, but it hasn't loaded in. Oh, finally. Okay. Finally decided to load. Let me switch cars here. My favorite one. Oh, my cars are drifts. So I don't have to. I never do grip. Well, except for this one. That's just because they suck at drifting. Sylvia and the BRZ. Those are just show cars. And now, let's see. Another loading screen. Come on. Come on. Any second now. Okay. Finally. I'm just gonna warm up here for a sec. Oh. Someone wants to drift. Looks like they don't realize who they just invited. Oh, well. It's this one. Oh, he's in a BRZ. He's done for. That is ugly. Bruh. Bruh. Look at my car, then look at yours. Then look at mine, then look at yours. Come on. Alright. People have no taste these days. No taste whatsoever.
I guarantee the drift bug gonna bite you bad.
Shouldn't have hit him by at all, dude. Really shouldn't. Alright, well, 39,000. Decent start. Come on. Been a little bit rusty. I've been playing GTA a little bit too much. Did I really just lose all that for the park car? I'm done. Okay. Well, lesson here is that you don't hit walls, you score high. I don't know the variables, but you know what? If you don't hit a wall, you're gonna score. So, that's the main thing. That, and I don't know if you've ever played this game, if you're just watching to see how it is, or however, this is a tutorial, so I will talk about how to drift. So first what you want to do is get a decent car. Now there's a lot of options for drifting, but there is a lot that aren't very good. And I don't recommend the Lambo, the Lamborghini Huracan is. A lot of people decide to do that, and I don't really understand why. But I guess they don't know how to score like me in a regular car, so they have to use the best drift car in the game. Yes, the Huracan is the best drift car in the game, unless you're using my setup. Easy easy though once you start drifting like me. In manual. Yes, I am in manual. That is also a big part of this. Obviously, the R34 is good for this. So it's my favorite car for points and speed, and it's agile, works well. Everything in my garage is able to drift except the Sylvia and the BRZ. Those two aren't good, just an FYI. They're actually pretty terrible. And what you want to do is just fully upgrade the car, and then set it all the way to drift, and customize it all the way to drift. And then there you go, that's my setup. And once you do that, the other parts of controlling the car, obviously I'm very good at it, but not everyone is. Definitely not. The reason I have so much money in my bank right now is because I do drifting speedless all the time. But I'd have a lot more if I didn't customize cars for my Instagram profile. But yeah, that's basically it. I can show the list of cars that are good or bad, whatever. There's really more good than there is bad, and a lot of cars that you don't think would be able to drift can drift, and then some cars that you think would drift don't drift in this game. That is the sad part about an arcade game. It isn't quite realistic to how the cars would perform in real life, in the sense that really good cars for drifting in real life are terrible in this game. Now, cars that are good at drifting, like the R34 in real life, I don't know why, but they made it decent, and it works. So,
show more consideration for traffic, right?
I swear, I'm so stupid in this game. But yeah, might as well just go ahead and show you all my builds. Why not? So, okay, come on, vinyls, spawn. Okay. Just an FYI, I do all my builds by myself. I have my own Instagram profile, just to prove it. This is not trending. I haven't saved it. You'd see that little icon if I have shared it. And I have not downloaded it, and I've shared it. And this is my own rap. So there you go. This car and the BRZ, or the Toyota GT86, or the FRS, all of those are like twinsies. I don't know why they added all three. I guess preference, I don't even know. But this is the BRZ, and they all three of them, they're just terrible for drifting. They're a decent balance build, and by balance build I mean like grip. I say balance because you never tune a car all the way grip, because it understeers way badly. Alright, so let's get on to cars that actually do work. Now, some of these are going to be leisure drifters, and I'm going to tell you why they're only a leisure drifter and why they're really good. So this is a leisure drifter, and by leisure drifter I mean I just drift it for fun. It's not a competition car. You're not going to win much. If you do, the kids suck. So, which this day and age, no one knows how to drift in this game, so usually they do. But yeah, and when you drift in manual, you usually stay in one gear. This is a fourth gear drifter, if you know what I mean. So in other words, you initiate in third gear and just drift in third gear, and that's what I mean by that. And yeah, this is just a leisure drifter. It's very smooth, but it is hard to get it out of a drift, so that's not exactly good for like chaining or going through an entire road course drifting completely without stopping. This car, you kind of have to stop. It is a little bit difficult to chain, and by a little bit difficult, it's really difficult, and you just wouldn't be able to. some people they want to try, but I guess you can if you really wanted to. Here's another car, the R32 Skyline. If by R32 I mean the 1993, if you didn't know what I meant by that. The R34 is in 1999. And the R35, which is over there, is 2015 or the 2017, but we're gonna talk about that car in a sec. But this car isn't it isn't the best, but it is quite good. It's like the R34. Just scores a little bit less points, and it is a third gear drifter, which is the reason why it scores less points. It doesn't score so good in a higher gear, which the R34 doesn't get bogged down. It has plenty of power. Well, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, it has a lot more torque, so it can handle the higher gears, and that's why it goes faster when it drifts, and therefore gets more points. So this car is just right behind it, not by far though. It is a great car though, and as long as there isn't a Huracan in the lobby, you're good if you're doing speedless. Oh, by the way, the wrap is a tribute build if you're wondering why I have like a Need for Speed Carbon logo on it. I did a couple of tribute builds for my profile. And, okay. Oh yeah, my NSX. So this car is basically quite good. It is a competition car, but you have to know how to use it. When I talk about controlling cars, all of these cars are different when they drift. And some of them are harder to control, and some of them are easy to control, but you have to control them a certain way. And this is one of those cars. It is a leisure drifter, but it's also competition if you want it to be. And basically, it's all on the steering. As soon as you initiate a drift, you kind of just throw it into a drift. You don't have to hit the e-brake or the brake because it will get bogged down. And just an FYI, all my cars are tuned all the way drift for maximum points and angle and everything else. And yes, you're not supposed to tune a drift car at all in this game. Grip, yeah, you do custom things for that. But drift, always do it all the way drift. I don't care if you don't like it. You get used to it, you're going to score a lot of points. And that's the point of this, teach people how to do that. But, yeah, basically it's all in the steering. If you know what counter steering is, it's, well, I'm not going to try and explain that because it's a little bit hard, but you should know what that means. It's self-explanatory. But, it's basically all in the steering. You just play with the steering to control it. It is, but if you use the brake, it's gonna get bogged down. So do it very rarely. Okay. And of course, I just have another R34. I don't know why I have two, to be honest. Well, the Lamborghini Diablo. This is about the only supercar I'll ever drift because it's old. I hate the new supercars. I just do. As far as drifting goes, the only one I ever enjoyed drifting out of the new ones was the Lamborghini Murcielago. And that thing is a little bit difficult. I've seen some people say it sucks, but it's a third gear drifter. It's quite good. In manual. In automatic, it's absolutely terrible because when you switch a car into manual, it completely changes its characteristics. So this car is basically like a slightly faster R34, but it doesn't score more, and I think that's due to the fact of the angle it takes whenever it drifts. And this is another Need for Speed Carbon tribute build. But yeah, and basically, those are all my cars in storage. So let me just get this back out. And so just to cover again, the BRZ and the Sylvia are absolutely terrible for drifting. You don't even want to try them because they'll just be terrible. I've seen some people try and they say, yeah, it's a good drifter, and they're only getting 100,000. some people think that's a lot of points. It's not even close on a race where I can get 500K. Not exactly good. The R35 or the 2015 GTR. It's a leisure drifter. I don't think I would ever use this in competition because it just doesn't score. You can make it drift. You can force it to. But it is a little bit stubborn. To say the least. It's a little bit difficult. Now, here's everyone's favorite. Everyone used to think the RX-7 was like, oh my gosh, it's so good for drifting. It's really... right? It's just a leisure drifter, man. It's not even competition. I mean, you can. I've used it before in a speed list, and I've beaten them. Well, that's because all the kids sucked, and they were using terrible cars. But I just... man, this car is a little bit difficult. It's just... it's a third and fourth gear drifter, mainly third. And the reason for that is it can't hardly ever change directions very easily. It is a little bit difficult to do that with. If you know what an S-turn is, it's like a figure eight or whatever. It's where you change directions. And this car just doesn't work too well for that. I don't know why. The RX-7 is just rather difficult. So, I'm not quite sure why. So everyone thinks it's great, but it's not. And, I don't know. But yeah, I guess I should start doing some drift events to show you how I can do things very well in this game. I have only been beaten by a couple of Lamborghinis in Speedless, and the only reason was because it's 2Gay. And the difference between 2Gay and a drift contest is if you're in the lead of the pack, so like say you're in a really fast drifter like the Lambo, you get a multiplier. And I can catch up with a lesser multiplier, but usually those guys, I don't know, they're just good enough to stay right out of my reach, and they just barely beat me. And it's one of the most annoying things. And the only reason is because they're in a Huracan, and they don't know how to drift in a normal car. I'm in a normal car, and they don't know how to do that. So this is one of my favorite drift contests. I'm probably going to score like 650, maybe 700, but I'm not going to push the wall like I normally would for points. I'm not trying to beat anyone's highest score. Wow, that's terrible. Initiation, come on. And, but, you know, it is a little bit difficult, but it's not so hard once you get used to it. It's really not. It has been difficult in the past. Like when I first started, it was pretty terrible, but I got used to it quickly. And most of my friends, I had a friend who scores a little bit higher on me on this race because he pushes the wall the entire time. And he messes up a lot too because he pushes the wall so much. I'm playing smart here by not pushing the wall so much. And, okay, push. But, before this, he was only getting 200K on Nautilus, and now he's getting like 770, 760, right up where I do. And I can score higher than him if I push the wall, but I just really don't like to. Rather than, I don't know. But yeah, he's not quite as good as me. I'm more flexible to races, but he's just one of the examples. I started telling him how to do things correctly, and he went from 200K on races to 700K immediately. And a lot of people have been like that. See, at this point, most people would be at like, I don't know, 280. If if you're average. And they would finish this race with like 400k, and they would call that a lot. This is... anyone can tell you that this is a monstrous amount. Anything past 500k is something unheard of unless you're in a hill climb. Which I'm chaining this whole race to get maximum points, because the more asphalt you drift on, the more points you get. So if you maximize the amount of asphalt you're drifting on, the more points, as well as speed and angle, those all matter. And the reason why if you push to the wall you get more points is not because you get a multiplier for being close to the wall. I've met people who thought that is not why. It's because it's actually a longer route to go all along the wall. Oh, I got 700k. Okay. It's usually my average there. But yeah, if you get closer to walls, you cover more, obviously more distance than if you were to take the inside of a corner. And, yeah, you just get more points. But it is a little bit risky. Would not recommend it in speed this. So, because you're going to get hit. And that's one thing I had to learn how to handle, was getting tapped all the time and still keeping my points is something that is quite difficult to learn. And it can be quite aggravating over time because people do not know how to drive, but usually you should be good. I would not dive right into a speed boost unless you're ready. Unless you're absolutely ready for competition. Because sometimes it can get a little heated, but most of the time they just suck. Absolutely terrible. That's how most people drift. And tips and tricks, I guess, for controlling the car is I usually initiate with either the brake or the handbrake or both at the same time. It's just usually discretion right there. And by initiate, I mean starting the drift. And to control it, I just do a left and right type thing like I am right now. It basically, I don't know, it's not very realistic, but it's a counter steering system in this game. And it helps control the angle of the car. Eventually, if you learn how to do it, you'll get it. Eventually. And, I guess I should probably go over all the cars that you want to avoid for drifting. And I'll explain why they're terrible for drifting. These cars are going to be a little bit shocking, because in real life, I'm sure you've gone on Instagram or somewhere and watched this car drift, and then you get into this game all excited, gonna do a build on it. Just be warned, because not all cars that drift in real life drift in this game. Far from. Which is a little sad, because there's a few cars in here that I really wanted to be good, and they weren't. Okay, so we're starting here. Not the Volvo. It gets a little bit too much angle, and it slides into a wall, and you cannot stop it from doing that. This just gets bogged down in the corners because it is front-wheel drive. Rule number 1, never drift a front-wheel drive. So anyone who drifts a Civic, you're an idiot. Okay. This gets a little bit too much angle. It is rear-wheel drive. I wish it was better, but it's not, so stay away from it. This is a leisure drifter. It is decent. It is a little bit decent. It's a lot like the other MX-5. These are called Miatas. Just an FYI. And the 2015 is just a little bit better at drifting than this one, but they handle almost exactly the same. So, yeah, they are a leisure drifter. This is front-wheel drive, and it is the only front-wheel drive I've seen do anywhere near okay, as far as points go. Yeah, I don't know why I decided to drift it, but I did. And it was a really bad idea, because literally front-wheel drives, they can't do that. So, never drift a front-wheel drive. Same thing for the Civics, front-wheel drive. This should be better, but it isn't, which is, again, kind of sad. It's okay. It's a leisure drifter. Definitely not competition. Would not call it competition because it's just not decent enough. And now the Supra is, wow, pretty terrible. And that's really sad because in real life, they are so good at drifting. Literally one of the best cars you can have for drifting. But nope, it's terrible. It's kind of sad to say. Same thing for the 180. It just, okay, this one, the Supra is just cantankerous. It does not want to start a drift. It doesn't want to end a drift. It doesn't want to do jack. It's just like, screw you all the time whenever you're driving it. And then the 180, it just gets a little bit too much angle and you can't control it. So it just goes right into a corner and you're kind of screwed. And then the 240, it's a leisure drifter. Gets a little bit too much angle, but it can be controllable, but it sure enough doesn't get points. I don't know why you would drift a hot rod, but you know what? It's half decent. I wouldn't do it, though. You look retarded. Okay? And also it has so much torque, it's literally burning out all the time if you have drift tires. Which I guess is cool to some people, but it's really annoying. The Fox body is depressingly bad. It just, I don't know. Yeah, it gets way too much angle. In other words, it drifts too much and it spins out. That's what I mean by that. The RX-7, I already gone over that. The Challenger is a leisure drifter. Just doesn't want to initiate, and once you initiate, it is a little bit difficult to keep it from, hitting a wall. And it doesn't get nearly enough angle whenever you are drifting, and if you get a little bit too much angle, it spins out. And the GT86, it sucks. The FRS sucks, and then this BRZ sucks. They're just not good for drifting. Already gone over that. They both suck. Well, this is a leisure one. You know what I mean. Okay. And the 71 Skyline is also depressingly bad. It just gets too much angle. A lot of these cars get way too much angle, and you can't tune it. I don't understand why people keep saying, well, if I tune it, it will work. It won't. It won't. It never will. So just get that out of your head. S2000, I wish it was better, but it's not. It's awful. Gets too much angle. Way too much angle, might I add. Okay, the Lancer is good. It is a competition car, but you know what? It has a really wacky way of drifting. The Lancer just isn't quite good enough for me. I have made builds on them in the past. They're decent, but you know, I don't know. I just don't quite like them. And the R32, I already gone over it. The M3 E46, or the 2006 one, just isn't. Man, it gets too much angle. If it would be so good in real life. It is so super good in real life. The Impreza just doesn't get enough angle for my taste. It is a leisure drifter. It is rather easy to initiate. It just doesn't get a whole lot of angle, and it drifts. It is quite fun to drift too, the Impreza, but it's just quite, I don't know. You don't want to use it in competition. You'll just get smoked if there's anyone good. M3 E92, it's not much to say here. It's terrible. This is also terrible. I don't know why. This is a really good grip build, though, if you aren't interested in drifting. Grip. It's quite good for that. The Honda NSX, already been over it. It's a decent drifter competition. No. Just no. If you drift this car, I don't know how, because it over revs. It gets way too much wheel spin, and it's just awful. It gets bogged down in the corners. And the Lotus, some people love it. Some people hate it. I happen to hate it. I don't hate it because of it's a Lotus or because of the model of the car. I hate it because it just does not come out of a drift. It drifts, but it does not come out of a drift, and it doesn't change directions. Worth beans. It would be really good if it could do that, but no, it can't. And the R34, obviously, it's really good. Ford Mustang, Boss 302, just doesn't cut it. Not that good. Not good at all, actually. And I wouldn't even drift it. It just gets way too much wheel spin. And on top of that, it gets too much angle. The M2, it just, no, it's not good. It's just not good. I wish it was better, but it's not. The Ford Focus, it is good in automatic. This is one of those rare cars that is better in automatic than it is in manual. But you don't change directions very easily. It is difficult, and in manual it just gets a little bit too much angle. A lot of people use it too. A lot of people do. Some people like it. I can't handle it. The M4, just too much angle. The Ford Mustang doesn't want to initiate, and then whenever it does, it gets too much angle. None of the Porsches really drift well. I wouldn't even try them, except one, and I'm gonna get to that here in a bit. This just does not drift well. Actually, there's two. One's a leisure drifter, and, well, they're both leisure drifters. The Camaro is decent. It's actually the best out of all the muscle cars other than the Corvette. And the Corvette is the best out of all the muscle cars. This is a leisure drifter, and this is a competition car. That's how good it is. But it is, I don't know. It's really good for 2G if you don't want to use a Lambo. However, I am going to beat you in an R34, hands down. That is the best car for drifting by my account. Obviously, been over the 2015 GTR, the Mercedes, AMG. Really a large lack of body mods. Kind of makes me sad. There's a lot of things wrong with the car. Like, I feel like they should have added the younger year, but that's just my opinion. However, it is rather okay for drifting. It's okay. It's like a leisure drifter. I don't know why you would want it, though. I guess if you're a Merc fan, I don't even know. They should have more Mercedes, but they don't. Maybe they'll do that in the new game coming out. The 2017 is absolutely terrible. Don't even try it. Don't try it. Don't. Just don't. The Dodge Viper is okay. It gets bogged down and doesn't get enough angle. And then if you push it really hard, it gets too much angle and spins out. And the Porsche 9, and you can't control it, by the way. The Porsche 911 Carrera RSR, this is one of the ones I told you is decent. It is really difficult, though. It is third gear drifter. It's a leisure drifter, and I wouldn't even waste your time unless you're just trying to have fun. Okay, I know. So, and also another tip for this car, you have to have one of the RWB kits, as in raw welt. RWB, you have to have one of those kits, otherwise it doesn't have the right track width and everything to do anywhere near as good. So if you have it, any other kit other than the two RWB ones, it's gonna drift terribly, like not even close to good. So keep that in mind. And you would not use that for competition, never. Okay, this is really just, I don't know. I don't like how it drifts. It's a little weird. It could be better. A lot better, but it's not. This is the other Porsche I was talking about that does drift. It drifts a lot like the RX-7. Just a little bit better. It's a leisure drifter. I generally don't like drifting Porsches. I don't know why. 458, it's just a no. Don't do it. It gets bogged down, doesn't get enough angle, and then when you push it, it gets too much angle. Diablo, I've already talked about it. It's good. Murcielago is good, as I mentioned before. It is a little bit hard to keep it from straightening out. But if and when you do initiate it, it is quite good. That's like the only supercar I actually enjoy drifting. The Huracan, as mentioned before, best car in the game for drifting by other people's accounts. It's the easiest to get points in without my setup. You just set it all the way to drift, don't even do manual. You're pretty much set. You're going to score right around me, but I would not recommend it because it's absolutely stupid. I hate that car. I hate that car. I hate seeing it. I hate seeing it that they're drifting it. Because if I owned that car, I would not drift it. I wouldn't even... I wouldn't even come close to drifting, man. It's stupid. It's stupid to drift a supercar. The McLaren is decent. It's decent. It's okay. It's a leisure drifter. I don't know why you would do it though. Just a reminder, these are all in manual. The Aventador, don't even touch it. I hate seeing... Actually, I laugh at the people who bring those into drift competitions because they are so terrible. And they think, oh, well, it's an Aventador, it's OP. They're good at everything because they're so beautiful and they're nice, and I so want one to realize... man. No. Don't even try the Aventador for drifting. And the F40 is decent. And the F40 is just, I don't know. It gets a little bit too much angle when you drift it. It is a little bit annoying in that sense. And definitely not a competition car. And it is really good grip build, though. And by grip, I mean balance. Never set a car all the way to grip. You're going to regret it immediately. And then this car, if you're trying to drift it, I don't know what's wrong with you. I really don't. Because I see people do it. And it is the funniest thing, because it is a balance build. And you're trying to drift a car made for grip. Like, that makes a whole lot of sense. They're usually little kids, probably, you know, like the super ugly ones that are like green and purple, like chrome green and purple. Ugh, gosh, people have no taste these days whatsoever. So that is all the cars that are in the game. Oh, and none of these icon cars you want to drift except the Hoonigan one, Hoonicorn, whatever. Ken Block's car. It is good in manual. Just make sure you set your thing to like manual all cars instead of like the per car thing, because you can't tune this obviously, so you wouldn't be able to change that. But it is good in manual. Automatic's absolutely terrible, but I think they buffed it, and it's half decent, honestly. And I don't know what car. Well, I'll just do that one. And I'll just go drifting again. Show you more of what I can do and how I do it. So I'm not actually going to do this event. I'm just going to start showing you how to drift in two different areas, because the mountains and the street are a little bit different. I will say that, because one is like sloped roads. Obviously they're sloped because they're on a mountain. So these aren't like completely flat like a street would be. Obviously some street roads are going to be a little bit sloped. Certain areas. Oh my gosh, that was a terrible flick. But the one thing you want to remember is that you want to just shoot for the middle of the road. And when you see a car, try as best as you can to go around it. And if you see you're going to hit it, straighten out. That's just a really good idea on your part, because say you're in a competition and there's a car, you don't want to just stop and have that car slow you down, just straighten out and then initiate right after. That is a smart idea. Getting down to where there's better turns. I don't like this area. I hate drifting over hills because it can't happen in real life and it can't happen in this game. So, and by hills I mean like huge, like little dips in the road. You would not drift that in real life. I mean, you can, but it's real sketchy in real life. And it's also really sketchy in this game. And yes, it is perfectly fine to drift up the straightaway. You can do it. It's perfectly normal. There are some people who just want to drive straight. No, you tack as much asphalt as you can when you drift to get maximum points. Obviously, you're going to want to do that because otherwise someone else will and you'll get beaten. And it's just really important that you remember to not hit the walls. Whatever you do not hit the walls or cars. If you're gonna hit a wall, you either straighten out or you learn how to correct it while stay drifting. I know how to correct it. I'm just a little bit rusty right now. So what's going on here? Trying to get used to it here. Drifting roads I remember. And basically what I'm doing is I'm playing with the steering and the brakes at the same time. I very rarely use brakes unless I'm changing directions. If you notice, as soon as I change directions, or I want to increase the angle, I'll hit the brakes. You'll see the brake lights go on. I don't know if you see that third light, but you will see that. If I'm trying to increase the angle, I will hit the brakes. And the reason is because the front end is not completely flush or straight with the back end. So if your brakes are front bias, or that is more towards the front, more strength in the front, then obviously the front's going to slow down and the back end's going to come swinging out more, and that is why it increases angle. A little science lesson there. Well, it's more logic than science, I guess, but that is science. Also, another thing you're going to want to remember is avoid like medians or islands or sidewalks, anything that could disrupt or be bumpy on when you drift. Like if you run over a sidewalk, that's an easy way to kill a drift. Especially the front wheels. The back wheels, sometimes you can handle it and keep it going. Like you've already seen me do that a couple of times. But it is quite important that you try and avoid them. There are some that I am used to running over because they work. I don't know why they work, but I would just assume that all sidewalks you can't run over, because anything bumpy. Real life, just think about it. Going sideways at 90 miles an hour, you're not gonna be able to run over a sidewalk that's like 2 inches high. That's gonna really mess up your tires and everything else. So just keep that logic in mind. Also, don't be afraid to hit like signs and everything. I just try and avoid them if and when I can. And if you don't initiate when you want to, don't be afraid of that either. Just get right back in the game. Don't rage quit and restart, because you can't restart and speed this. And I'm just trying to get you set up here for speed this competition so you can really get the big bucks like I do. Like I have, just to show you that, 3,545,000. There's a lot of money for this game. It's a lot of money in real life. Kind of wish I had that much money, but I don't. Far from. But just remember that it is about 1,000 points away from that. Okay, but little less than 1,000, but just all costs. Always avoid cars. Always avoid sidewalks and islands. trying to drift where there is flat road, and just avoid cars too. It's really obvious, and if you have to straighten out, don't be afraid of that either, because chances are, if and when you do straighten out, you'll be in the lead, if you do my setup. And just to run that over again, my setup is all the way drift. Every single car I drift in this game is all the way drift. And you don't tune a drift car in this game. Some people are like, oh well, you can. Like if it gets too much angle, you can change this, that, and the other thing. But as soon as they face me, I just blow them out of the water because they don't know what they're talking about. And if you don't like how a car handles when it's in drift, don't sign it off or write it off as a terrible car for because you don't know that. You don't know. You just might not be used to it. Like for example, I had a friend who tried this car, my setup, in manual shifting, like I am always in manual. And he tried drifting it. He didn't like it. He didn't like it, and I said, if you get used to it, eventually you'll start scoring big. So what happens in the next 3 days of him using it? He gets used to it, and he gets to my level immediately. So it just, if you're not used to it, you'll get used to it. As long as it's a car that's good. You don't want to try any of the ones that I've mentioned before, previously. Because they won't ever work. I don't care how well you tuned it. It's not gonna work. Now, another trick of the trade is in forced induction. There's superchargers. In certain cars, they respond better to superchargers rather than the best turbocharger out of the forced induction. And certain cars do that. I don't know, you can play around with that. I know which cars do, but I don't really want to go over that because, I don't know, someone's going to be like, what's the supercharger? And there's only one in the elite section, so there's only one supercharger. And the difference between those is, I can go ahead and explain that, I guess. Turbochargers, they provide boost through your exhaust, so you obviously have to step on the throttle for that to happen. And you have to generate the exhaust in order to make the turbo work. But the supercharger is just connected right to the drive belt, so if the car is running, it's providing boost. And so it's a lot faster responding. It doesn't give you as much power, but it is it's right there. It gives you immediate boost. So it's great for drifting, for cars that have a lack of torque. For example, the R32 would be a great car for that, or the NSX. Trying to remember. Well, yeah, basically. And the R35, it is absolutely a necessity to have a supercharger. And just to show you what I mean, let me go ahead and go in there. See how it says supercharger? Usually it's right at the start of the E's or the elites. And all these other ones are turbochargers, and there's only one supercharger. And you will notice that the 0 to 60 is a lot better, but your top speed and everything else goes down, and your horsepower too. Don't always go for horsepower, because in this game that doesn't really matter, and in real life it doesn't always matter. So let's see, probably should drift something else other than my R34, because you guys just keep seeing all my R34 drifting. I don't know. I've met a lot of people who think the NSX can't drift, so because they tried it and they don't know how to do it. You have to learn how a car is before you can use it. So if you guys have any questions about anything I've said, or you want to know something more about the game, you can totally ask a question. I'll answer. I don't mind at all. And where did my vial go? hate it when it does that glitch. Hold on. Gotta go back in the garage. Real quickie. Oh, man. But yeah, it's really not that hard unless you're like a monkey who plays with cymbals all day and can't know how to drift. Eventually, you'll get it over time. This took me a long time. I've had this game since the beginning, ever since it came out. It's quite good. I got it like 2 days after it came out. And when I started it, I wasn't too impressed, but eventually I got really into it. So, yeah, the important thing to remember about the NSX is that it is a third gear drifter. And you play totally with the steering. You'll notice that, like, you didn't see my brake lights turn on, or go on until I really needed to slow down. You really don't want to slow down with this car, because it does get bogged down. I'm only going like 80 because it's a third gear drifter. It's just not doing so good, but it does drift if you make it. And it is a car that I give to people and tell them to get used to in order to learn how to counter steer or play with the steering, because it is an all steering car. You do all of it with steering and barely use the handbrake. Like, I use the handbrake there, but you have to be very gingerly with it. You can't use it way too much. It is a nice car though. I think I have a turbo on it right now, but you can use it with a supercharger if you prefer how it handles that way. And remember, it is a competition car if you want to use it for competition. The NSX is good for that. Gets right around 500k on Nautilus. If you push it. You have to really push it though. Alright, let me show everyone's favorite drift car here, then the RX-7. So many people think it's beautiful for drifting, but I don't know. I call them crazy or stupid, probably both. Wouldn't be surprised. However, it is a good leisure drifter. I guess you can use it in competition, but it's just not, doesn't quite cut it. Doesn't matter what body kit you have on it. Just doesn't work too well. Yeah, I don't know why I'm drifting like this. But yeah, you can control it. It is a little bit difficult, but you can. Just gotta really focus on what you're doing whenever you do it. That's another thing. I'm honestly surprised I'm doing this while talking, because you have to focus whenever you're drifting. You have to be paying attention to how the car is doing, how everything's going good on it. Yeah, this car responds a lot better in third gear in this type of close quarter situation, but in long times you need to do fourth gear. So it's a lot like the R34 in the sense that the gear changing is exactly the same. Except that fourth gear, this you really gotta be redlining for it to respond well, as the RX-7 goes. It is really a little bit difficult to get used to, and you can't really control it all that well. Like I can't stop it from hitting a wall. I can start a drift and I can take a really good line, but it is a little bit difficult. If you want a car that teaches you how to take a good line on a drift corner, get the new Miata, or the 2015 MX-5, if you don't know what that is. And basically, it's a really good and smooth drifter, and it doesn't want to come out of a drift. So you have to learn how to take the best line so you don't have to avoid the wall. That's the ideal thing. This car will teach you that because you can't stop it from hitting the wall. The only way to make it... you can, but it's difficult. And the only way to make it stop is to let go of the throttle, which you never want to do. Throttle control doesn't exist in this game. In real life, yes, but you just always keep the throttle down unless you're braking. There are times when you can just let off of it real quick. But yeah. See how the car is? I'm having to force it to chain because it gets so much angle. So it really teaches you how to take the best line and predict where you want the car in relation to the two walls and everything else. But it is quite smooth and it looks so nice whenever you're doing it. And in order to change directions in it, I'm having to use the handbrake only. I'm using only the handbrake. Yeah, not really. Yep, anyone does. Anyone does, and here it can. And that is that. If you want to learn how to take a line, do this car, the MX-5. And then, if you want to learn how to counter steer, do the NSX. Now the R35 or the 2015 GTR, they're the same thing. Is the leisure drifter. It is absolutely necessary to have a supercharger. You cannot drift that thing without a turbo. It sucks. The reason is because it has a lack of torque, and you need that immediate throttle response. So you'll notice as soon as I look how much faster, as soon as I hit the trigger, it goes all the way up. And in a turbocharger, it winds up. So this is like immediate response. It's a third and fourth gear drifter. Yeah, as long as you don't hit a truck like me. And it's decent. Doesn't get quite as much angle as I want it to, but it is pretty controllable. I just do it on those rainy days whenever you're bored. Speed. And yeah. Doesn't really matter what body kit you have on. Sometimes spoilers do affect how they drift. That's just an FYI. You don't always want a big wang on your car, contrary to popular belief. Some people just put big wangs on cars, making like, oh yeah, it makes it great. Anything about drifting. And oh my gosh, I'm sucking right now. But yeah, this car is just a lazy drifter. You do it for fun. Don't really want to do this for competition, because on Nautilus it gets like 385, and some of you are like, oh my goodness, that's so much points, that's so many points. But on the Speedless, you may or may not beat them, because I've seen some people that were half decent and they got like 400k on Nautilus. Or I'm just using Nautilus because that's the one I know how everyone scores, and I can say the other ones I know, but I just want to relate. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this drift tutorial. If you guys want more help on drifting, I can totally do that. You can contact me on PSN whenever you want, however you want. Doesn't matter. My Instagram profile is all lowercase, best of NFS. No spaces, no underscore, no anything. And on there I showcase all my cars that I've built over time, and I build a new car every week just to post it. And I haven't posted my new BRZ that I've done. I actually haven't. Kind of need to. It's my new show car. So I think we'll do that. I don't know. Thinking about doing a new car. Probably gonna be another show car though. 180. Just an FYI, you might think this takes forever, but it doesn't. I usually do about 40 minutes, 50 minutes on these cars. And I don't know, I just do speed builds. I never take like 2 hours like some people do. I have several friends on Instagram that takes several hours just to do a car like mine, and I do it in 40 minutes. Okay, come on, Ken. And just to recap, the R34 is the best drifter, as far as I know, in my opinion. It gets the most points. It's really controllable, easy to change angles, but not like the Huracan. Like if I drift a Huracan, that thing just whips into angles. It's ridiculous. I hate that thing because it's so good. But the thing is, cars also have a point cap, if that makes any sense. They can only get a certain amount of points due to power plant limitations, gearbox, things like that. All over the place, man. It's a lot of cars have different point caps. As I was saying, like the R34 can only score so much, whereas the R32 can only score so much versus the R34. Just quite can't score more. And the R34 has the highest point cap I've seen. Now in a 2-gay, it may or may not be better than a Huracan, but that's the only reason. The only reason for that is why I would get beaten by a Huracan is because it's so fast. In a 2-gay, it can get the multiplier, and that is just a little bit annoying. Quite annoying, actually. It's one of the more annoying things to happen because generally I end up losing by like 3,000 points, and they don't deserve the win. Because I'm in a really, really nice looking car, and they're in a supercar drifting. Like, there's kind of a huge difference. This is a car you would expect to drift, and you wouldn't expect to drift a freaking Lambo. I've seen people do it in real life, and I'm sure there's a Huracan drift car. I just don't respect them as a human being for drifting a supercar. It's one of the more annoying things that happens. Let's see if I can lose this guy by drifting. Alright, I do gotta eat lunch here in a bit, because I gotta head out and do some things, but I do appreciate you guys watching. Always do. And again, if you want PSN tutorials, you can contact me anytime. Pretty much don't have a life as of right now. I will have a life eventually, I hope. Okay. But oh well. Everyone has humble beginnings, so I'll let you guys I gotta get off here. But I do appreciate you guys watching and listening to my boring commentary. I also stream on Twitch. That will be I am a BUSCH 18. I'm a Bush, but it's spelled wrong on purpose. And I do Twitch on that all the time. GTA, whatever games, with my friends, do it all the time. I don't know, I'm a boring person. I don't know if you really want to, you know, listen to me ramble on with my friends saying terrible jokes. But, you know, who knows? However, I do appreciate you guys watching. Gotta sign off for now.